This week he's back. Gavin Gear is live in person in the studio with me. You know him as the ultimate reloader, but he also does custom rifles. And we're going to talk about what he's been up to. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Armscore, Vortex Optics, Walther Arms, and Colt. Welcome in to Gun Talk Nation. We are back. We previously spoke with Gavin Gears about reloading. Now we're going to talk about precision rifle and actually doing rifle builds, gun builds.
Yeah.
So Gavin's with Ultimate Reloader, and we're not going to talk about reloading too much. So, you know, it's all connected. It's all connected.
Yep.
So, man, I mean, talk about, gun builds are such a growing thing these days.
Yeah.
People doing their own gun builds. And we have the Build Box show that we do. People are, of course, I think the low-hanging fruit, the entryway is ARs for a lot of people doing gun builds. And that's a little bit more of doing assembly, get all the parts in and then put them together.
Yep.
They always say Legos for guns.
Right.
But you're kind of taking it beyond that. Talk about some of the builds that you started doing and how'd you get there? How'd you start?
Yeah. So on the AR topic, I think it's a great way to get people into gunsmithing, right? It's a great educational tool. It's a great way to have fun, make it your own kind of thing. And that's actually how I got started, was AR builds. I had covered it on the channel. I had to take those videos down because of YouTube policy.
Did they tell you to take it down, or you just said, I'm running afoul of that?
What happened was the New York Times came out, and I was covered in one of their articles on hand loading ammunition.
Okay.
The world of DIY ammo, I think is what it was. And I probably wouldn't do that if I had it to do it over again, because it brought attention onto the channel, and the people saw the AR builds and they flagged it, right?
Yeah.
When it was flagged, then I got my strike and it was removed. It was, I think, before the strike thing even. So, I just kind of deprecated that particular, type of content. Not talking with the New York Times anymore or any other outlets. Don't need extra attention.
But they didn't drag you over the coals necessarily. They just brought attention to the channel, huh?
They didn't drag me over the coals, but they also didn't do any favors to people loading ammo in terms of how the pictures they showed. They made it seem a little scary, I would say.
Oh, that's not surprising, right?
Yeah, right. And that was a learning experience for me. And I got feedback from a ton of people in the industry and viewers about that. It's like, okay, lesson learned. So anyhow, I started with the ARs, and I still like to build ARs. And now I actually do chambering and machining as a part of that process as well. But for me, I started running manual machines in the 80s with Grandpa.
Really?
Yeah, he built model steam engines.
Okay.
He worked at Disney in the sound department. True story. Could hardly hear a thing.
Really?
Yes, in the sound department. He worked on like Herbie the Love Bug and Davy Crockett and
really
all those kinds of old classic
in
movies.
California.
Yes, and he was all about like solving problems and MacGyvering things. If they're in a biplane filming, he would hook up the whatever microphones that they needed and all that. And he didn't, I guess, have to hear and all that. But he exposed me to it, and I saw what he was able to do with making these steam engines, and I thought, well, this is awesome. We're not cutting wood here with the table saw. This is like making metal chips.
Yeah.
And so I did some projects with him, and then I decided later I want to do mechanical engineering. So I graduated with a mechanical engineering degree, went into software. That's a separate story. But in the back of my mind was this: I gotta get a metal lathe. I gotta get a milling machine.
I want to get hands-on. I want to make stuff. I want to cut stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we did that in the mechanical engineering program on manual machines and CNC machines, which was cool as well.
Okay.
So I got a lathe, and then I got a different lathe, and I got this one, and I thought I really want to build a rifle. I want to chamber it. For some reason, I was obsessed with chamber.
Making your own chamber.
Yep.
Cutting your own chamber.
Yes, cutting my own chamber and assembling it. I thought this sounds really exciting. And it was partly out of utility. Like if I have a barrel burner, like a 22 250, wouldn't it be cool to just be able to spin up a new barrel, when you need to? So it became an obsession. And I got this DVD from Grizzly where this guy named Gordy Gritters shows this chambering process. Oh, well, this is neat. So I reached out to him. He agreed to be my mentor. And I ended up selling the lathe I had because it wasn't up to the task.
Okay.
And then I got my first real good lathe and put all the pieces together, customized it. You need some certain, attachments to the machine and modifications, enhancements to really make it work for this kind of thing. And built my first rifle, which was a 22-250.
Okay.
And, I chambered the round, and I remember being in my yard there, pulling the trigger, thinking, I don't know what's going to happen here. I hope I did everything right.
Yeah.
It was exciting.
I measured twice and cut once.
In metalworking, it's like 4 or 5 times and then cutting once. Yes, exactly. And the shot went off and it hit the target and I didn't die. So I thought, now
exciting.
This is amazing. And then like everything else in my life, I got deeper and deeper and deeper into it and just I went to Gordy's class. He has a week-long class in Florida at the Extreme Accuracy Institute. And that was amazing. Cool people, just seeing how Gordy does all this stuff.
On like rifle builds?
Yeah. This is all really focused on precision bolt action rifle builds.
Gotcha.
So you're starting with the barrel blank. It's got the hole and it's got the rifling, right?
Wow.
But it's essentially a stub on both ends. And you're going to cut the ends off, and then on the muzzle side, you'll turn the tenon down and thread it so you can put a brake or a suppressor on, or you could just cut a crown, right? Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, you turn the tenon down and you cut your thread relief. You thread it so it can screw into the receiver. And then you might cut a counter bore and then pre-drill bore and use the reamer to cut the chamber to a very exact depth, right? I'm just really attracted to the level of precision that's required, right? It's like if you want to be a doctor, it's going into being a brain surgeon,
right?
Of like critical life and death, precision type stuff.
That's what's interesting.
Yes,
to you.
The obsession, of all of that, and so we're dialing in the barrel so that when it's spinning in the lathe, it's only the rifling is only moving 1/10,000th of an inch in terms of run out, right? That's the level of OCD that you have to have, right? So I'm building more of these rifles and I'm realizing that my builds are helping me to achieve shooting goals that I hadn't been able to previously, like the 6-dasher that I built. I put 5 shots into .090 out of a regular bolt gun, and
Jeez.
Part of that is 6-dasher. It's just a really...
I mean, most people's guns shoot a 1/10 of an inch group, right? That's normal.
I'm not saying every group was that precise, but when I saw that group,
well, that's
I just thought,
it is literally the ultimate.
Yes.
We're getting to the ultimate, fraction of a percentage of accuracy.
And it's about control. When you build the rifle and you build the ammo and you're shooting it, and when it's even on your own property, that's the best thing. I built the rifle here, I built the ammo here, and I'm shooting it here out to 1,000 yards. Like that is like just achievement unlocked moment for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I'm starting to do it for the general public. We're incrementally and slowly rolling that out.
All right. So let's do this. We'll take a quick break. And after that, let's talk about rolling that out for the general public. The newest gun from Rock Island Armory Arms Corps is the 5.0 ST. Features a patented RVS recoil system engineered to maximize barrel mass and linear movement for super soft recoil. It also has a buttery smooth trigger for greater accuracy in rapid fire situations and a 2-piece modular grip frame for flexibility and control. It's a 9mm, it's 17+1. Barrel is 4.9 inches long, so it's a big full-size gun, but it's designed kind of to be optimized to be just a great shooting gun, and it's made at their new facility right there in Utah. Check out the new gun. Learn more at armscorps.com. Everybody's talking about red dots these days, and one of the companies to look at is, of course, Vortex Optics. The Viper Red Dot, personally, I'm looking at the 6 MOA dot reticle when I'm talking about fast sight acquisition, maybe a concealed carry setup. It's very popular because it has a super low mounting height, makes it perfect for handguns with cutout slides, which is what you're starting to see from a lot of the new guns, especially the smaller guns that are ready for optics. It offers the simplicity and speed advantage of a red dot while co-witnessing with suppressor height iron sights. Battery life, up to 150 hours on the highest setting, up to I'm going to mess this up, 30,000 hours on lower settings. So actually the battery life is pretty good. It's an optic that you're going to want to check out if you're thinking about getting into red dots. The Viper from Vortex Optics. Go to vortexoptics.com to see more. One of the newer guns from Ruger that's making waves is the LC Carbine. And why is this gun so cool? A lot of reasons, starting with it's chambered in 5.7 by 28. So in a carbine configuration, not very much recoil. Super fun to shoot. It also has a threaded barrel. Throw that suppressor on there. It weighs under 6 pounds, so it's lightweight. It's compact. Has a unique bolt-over barrel design with the magazine and the grip, which allows for excellent balance and pointability. Folding stock and collapsible sights make this ideal for compact storage. And it's a 16.25-inch barrel, so it's about as short as you can make it and keep it a carbine. It's one that I had a lot of fun on the range with when we were shooting guns and gear. So check it out, Ruger.com, the LC Carbine. Now, if it's good enough for James Bond, it's good enough for a lot of people, right? Walther is known for a lot of modern guns, but one of the ones I wanted to talk about today because they still sell it is the PPK stainless. And they like to say they invented concealed carry, which I kind of like that. Timelessness inspires true greatness. A groundbreaking idea now gives rise to the next level of achievement in unrivaled performance, delivering tried and true results when you need them the most. The PPK model of handguns started 80 years ago. Can you believe that? But chambered in 380 ACP, it's still just a fun gun to shoot. It's still a very small, compact gun. Barrel length, 3.3 inches, and holds 6 rounds in the magazine. But all of that doesn't really matter because what we're talking about is a PPK. It's a piece of history. It's famous in movies. You can also get it in black if you want to go there. So check out more about the PPK that you can still buy today at waltherarms.com. Colt 1911s are timeless. One of the ones that is, I would say, a modern version is the Colt Combat Elite Commander. So Commander, a little bit shorter package, and you can get it in 9mm. And for my money, a 9mm 1911 is some of the most fun you can have shooting pistols. Has that great trigger pull. It's been a favorite for over 100 years as a service pistol, the Colt 1911, law enforcement and personal defense. This pistol features G10 grips, an upswept beaver tail, which is going to help you get high up on that gun to control recoil, and it has an ambidextrous thumb safety. So check it out, the Colt Combat Elite Commander in 9mm over at Colt.com. Okay, so either people are listening to this going, hell yeah, I want to get into this. I love this idea. I come up from a machinist background or whatever it might be. This is my jam. Or they're going, hell yeah, somebody else can do this for me.
Right, exactly.
And so you're starting to do that.
Yep.
Actually building guns that people could purchase them from you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's 2 things we're doing with gunsmithing. We've got ultimate reloader rifles, which are basically, hey, we showed you this rifle on the channel. You guys wanted to actually buy this thing. Here it is. Here's the SKU. Here's the name, right? The Cheetah or whatever that name ends up being, right? Yeah. And the good thing about those rifles is they've been vetted by us. You know, we have load data. You know, we've demonstrated that this is a good formula and that kind of thing. But also at the same time, I'm a part of a community, a local community, and the precision rifle community in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
And there's a great need for this, like chambering barrels and threading muzzles and bedding actions into stocks, installing scopes, all this stuff. And a lot of the gun shops are moving out of Washington State, where I'm located.
And a lot of gun shops don't have gunsmiths on staff.
Correct. Yeah. But you've got some big, not huge, but well-respected rifle builders like Arbro's Rifles were gone. I don't even remember what state they went to, but that's a pattern that's happening over and over and over. So I thought it might not be easy to do business with guns here, but I'm here, and this is a community that I care about, and I think this service needs to be available.
Well, and also, you know, we get this question sometimes where they go, you know, I wanted to have a little bit of gunsmithing work done. And it could be simple stuff. It could be, I want to change out the sights on a handgun,
Right.
or I want to get a barrel threaded, or I bought a Timney trigger, but I don't want to put it in.
Right.
And even that can be hard to find somebody. And then they ask me, and I feel bad because I'm going, I'm not sure I'm comfortable recommending somebody. I don't want them to screw up your barrel by threading it wrong. I mean, I had one instance where we were busy trying to do production. We got some sights in. I said, just take it to the gun shop and have them install this because we can't mess with it right now. And I think it was the front sight of this pistol came back bent. It was like, it was, designed for shooting around corners or something.
Right.
I don't know. But
Sounds like you need to get someone here. You've got a lot of great space here.
oh yeah, so
That would be awesome.
but maybe we should. New business model. We'll go by the URL. GunTalkGunsmithing.com TM.
Gun talking smithing.
But yeah, I mean, and so I guess what I was getting to is you would probably be a guy who, whether it's nationally or locally in your Pacific Northwest area, where they go, okay, I'm comfortable with Gavin doing it.
Yes.
Nerd level 10.
Yes.
Gavin will pay attention to the threads of my barrel.
And I see that. I see that comment in my videos. I see the comment of, I love the attention to detail that you showed in this video and your knowledge and just, how you do this. And I'd like for you to do something. And now I didn't finish the branding thing. So we have ultimate reloader rifles and we have precision rifle concepts. Precision rifle concepts is gunsmithing where it's not our own, like, off the shelf rifles
creation,
that we're sending. So that's kind of our local business. And yes, who you take your rifle to is a really important decision. I've heard story after story of, we sent it to this guy that was, supposed to know his stuff. And when we took the barrel out of the receiver, it looked like, the threads were all chewed up and this and this and that, and it's kind of the my buddy can do it cheaper model. If people tell us that or whatever, it's like, well, I hope that works out, but you get what you pay for.
Well, I mean, there's that, right? And I mean, how do you vet somebody? I mean, if they weren't coming to you and this guy, I live in New Jersey or Florida or somewhere, and I'm just trying to find some guy locally, would you say, here's the 5 questions or here are the 5 things to look for, or how would you vet them?
If I was going to vet them, I would ask them how they're dialing in their barrels. I would ask them about some of their, validation criteria. And like, there's some things that some people don't believe in, like barrel pre-drill curvature, the curvature of the rifling inside. You get a barrel blank that's perfect on the outside. And when the gun drill goes through, it wanders a little bit, right?
Right.
Well, in that magic spot, the throat area where the bullet is coming out of the case and it's about to hit the rifling, the alignment of everything in there is super critical.
Sure.
So if you just say this end of the barrel is running true and that end of the barrel is running true, well, that throat area could be wobbling around. And if you send the reamer in there, you're going to get an uneven cut on your throat. And that's going to cause the bullets to get cut unevenly. And every single bullet is going to come out wobbling slightly, right?
Yeah.
Those
can never achieve precision.
Now, I don't expect you to go and, ask all those specific questions of a gunsmith, but if you can get a recommendation from someone who's had work done and, talk to an experienced shooter that has high standards and ask them. The unfortunate reality is there's not a lot of people that you really can trust if you're really discerning and have really high expectations for level of workmanship. Because a lot of gunsmiths are, to use some stereotypes, a little old and grumpy, like...
There's a reason there's a stereotype there, guys.
Right. Like, hey, I've been doing it this way. My way is the best way. I don't even want to learn anybody else's stuff. Now,
you'll get your gun back in 11 months.
Oh boy, exactly. Now, Gordy Gritter's on the other hand, he's built several rifles that have set world records and all this, but he's a super humble guy, and his passion is, I want to make it even better. And if you have something to show me, whether it be a fixture for the lathe or a certain process or procedure, I'm all ears. And he's constantly exploring new techniques as well. Like he has a method of epoxy sleeving in action so it has a more tight fit with the bolt.
Wow.
Not having to like machine it, but there's a very specific process he develops that he teaches in the class. And you're thinking to yourself, well, that's really genius. And how did you come up with that? Well, he tries things. And if it improves his game, so be it.
All right. So what would be some really bad gunsmithing or the weirdest thing that you've seen, come across in somebody else's gun or one of your guns, or something weird that was done? I mean,
so I don't get a lot of exposure to that directly, but I'm involved in several Facebook, groups for gunsmiths and all that.
Sure.
So a couple examples, Cerakote group, right?
Oh,
this
yeah.
is like, hey, check out this Cerakote job, and they'll take like the grip panels off of a 1911, and then inside there's just ungodly sandblasting sand stuck in with the
Sand's still there.
Cerakote where it shouldn't be, no Cerakote where it should be. And you think, like, how does this happen? And then Jim Borden, who makes Rifle Actions, had some pictures of a threading job that someone had done. And it did look like the threads were cut with not even a good die. It was like just like a file was used or something. And you think,
look,
how does someone do that?
You get it started and you just spiral it as best as you can.
Right. Dremel as you're spinning it,
it'll
right?
be fine.
Right. And this is the thing. This is one of my biggest passions right now, is the work I'm doing on the channel and with the industry to set people up for success. Because when you get behind a nice piece of equipment, you have the right tool holder, the right indexable cutting tool, the insert, and you're running the right feed and speed, and you're following the correct process, and you see an almost mirror-like finish on that 416 stainless, it's a feeling of satisfaction, because there are a lot of ways to screw it up, right? But it's not too hard to avoid that stuff if you get some good guidance. I learned to run a lathe from Grandpa and from reading South Bend's How to Run a Lathe book.
Yeah.
And that gave me the fundamentals, and they cover pretty much everything you need to know in there. But, machining is a big world, and there's a lot of things that you can learn, custom fixturing, different types of materials and all this. Gunsmithing is really a small subset of that. If you're going to do precision rifle builds, bolt action stuff, once you learn how to do it, it's all kind of variations on a theme. And then it's a question of how much time are you spending? How much do you care? The attention to detail, taking the time to do it all correctly. And it does take a lot of extra time. The dialing in of the barrel being one of the biggest areas. And you can't do that with mass-produced rifles. It's kind of like we were talking about reloading in the other video. The biggest difference between the Berger 77 OTM ammo that we talked about and my hand loads is on an industrial machine, they're able to get to 0.3 grains, plus or minus 0.3 grains, or 0.3 grains total. Something in that nature of powder charge consistency. I can get down to 0.02.
Wow.
And sometimes that makes a huge difference. Other times it's a little bit less important. The point is, it's that attention to detail and the extra time that makes those precision hand loads that much better than factory ammo. And factory ammo can be great, right? So a Bergara rifle can shoot great. A full custom rifle built by someone like myself will fast track you to more consistent, super precision results on paper.
Yeah.
Basically. And to find that gunsmith, that is definitely a challenge.
I think we're talking about, minute of deer is one thing, right? I mean, a lot of rifles will shoot minute of vital area, but obviously what you're talking about is a precision standard that's way different.
Yep.
And probably it's really less about hitting an animal and killing it. I mean, you can do that, but now it just gets interesting to say, well, how accurate could we be?
Right.
Right. And I mean, what would be standards? If you say, well, for me, and we're building our own rifles and we're offering them to people, people are used to hearing, this gun is guaranteed at an MOA gun. So it's a 1-inch gun at 100 yards. Yep. Are there things beyond just the accuracy part that are like, these are things that are, yes, we're striving for accuracy, but there's other things about this gun that are kind of special and people are going to like.
Yeah. So the rifles that we build, I want to see them down at quarter MOA is typically the goal. And again, that might be a goal that takes a while to achieve because of the load development process. Every barrel is different. It has a different natural frequency, even the same manufacturer, same blank specs, all that, right? So,
now, tell me if I'm saying this right. I mean, because a quarter MOA, we're talking about a 1/4 inch group at 100 yards. And And that you go, well, what? It's an inch group or it's a 1/4 inch group? Who cares? But then we go to 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Right. And that still holds true. That's still consistent, right?
That leads me to the second part, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's not only about the group size, which is the precision of the rifle. It's also about being able to produce consistent velocities. Because at 1,000 yards, if you have a big variation in muzzle velocity, you get vertical shot dispersion, right? The slower bullet will drop more. The faster bullet will drop less, and you get that vertical dispersion.
And you're talking about because of the rifle, not the ammo.
It can be both.
Okay.
So consistent components like brass from Alfie Munitions or from Peterson or from Lapua will help you with that because they have consistent neck tension, they have consistent case capacity, consistent weight as is an indicator.
Your standard
of some of that.
deviation and all those things are going to be more consistent.
More consistent ammo, more consistent muzzle velocity. On the rifle side, the ignition components are critical in that domain. So the speed of the firing pin each time it hits the primer, more consistent you can make that, the more consistent that flame will be that hits the powder, and the more consistent the muzzle velocity will be. So like premium actions like Bat Machine, which are known for their bench rest actions, I use their tactical actions. In fact, the rifles that we're going to sell have the Bat TR, have finely machined and tuned ignition systems. The spring, the firing pin, all of those components are higher quality.
Now, think about lock time, right? So is this also going to help you, because assuming that these all have a really good trigger, obviously.
Yep.
Now it's more consistent. People don't think about lock time, the time from pressing the trigger and the firing pin going forward and it hitting the primer. There's time there. I know we think of it as being instant, but it's not instant. The lock time would be more consistent in that example, right?
It would be. Yep. And so it's going to be more consistent in timing, and then also energy it delivers to the primer, and then the consistent muzzle velocity. Interestingly, now that I've gotten more into rimfire stuff, trigger control, even in a bench rest situation with rimfire, is more critical because the bullet is moving more slowly. It has more dwell time in the barrel.
Yeah.
So
you can affect the rifle, and the bullet hasn't left the gun yet.
Exactly. You've pulled it one direction or another, and so. What I love about this OCD type bench rest shooting is that everything matters.
Yeah.
People will argue, oh, you don't need to clean your primer pockets, or you don't need to uniform the flash holes, or whatever it is they're talking about. Well, when you get into bench rest, it is correct. Some of those things really won't matter ever, but almost everything else does at that point. The bedding, the cleanliness of the bore, and do you shoot foulers first, right? It's just, it's a different game, and one I'm still learning a lot about. I've focused on the building of the rifles. Well, now I need to get out and shoot with more of these bench rest people to really, fine tune that other end of the spectrum.
And if you're a person who is a good shot and you go to the range and you have, most factory guns these days are pretty good. They're it used to be like, oh, it shoots 2 or 3 inches, whatever, it's good. It'll kill deer. And now really even just pretty economy grade factory guns, you're still really thinking this should be a close to an MOA gun, a 1-inch gun.
Yeah.
But I guess, if you're that guy who goes to the range, you shoot 100, 200, 300 yards, you hit the targets, you shoot smallish groups, you may start getting bored. And this is kind of going, well, what's left here? What more? There's a lot more.
Yeah.
And this is where somebody who's interested in that type of level of precision going, well, I didn't realize that was possible.
For me, that was what led me to want to build the rifles. I thought, all right, I've already started building the ammo. That's really awesome. Now I want to build, the rifle. And to describe the sense of accomplishment that you feel and satisfaction after torquing the barrel down, checking the headspace, and then firing it, and then seeing some really great results. It's really amazing. But then, of course, you can try different cartridges. You can enter into competitions. I can't imagine ever being bored with this. Oh, also Cerakote and coatings and just all of it. There's a lot there to do. Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic for another day, isn't it? I mean, Cerakote rabbit hole.
Yes.
So Gavin, are the guns out now? Can they go find them on the website?
Not
or they're
yet.
coming?
They're coming. Rifles.ultimatereloader.com would get you on the wait list. And the wait list includes the Ultimate Reloader rifles, and the gunsmithing services from Precision Rifle Concepts.
Cool.
We have about 400 people on the list already. And so we're trying to prioritize.
Just start turning some barrels.
Yeah, we need. We're prioritizing customers that have barrel blanks because those are really hard to get right now.
Gotcha.
Just trying to ramp the whole thing up. But I haven't hired a full-time gunsmith yet, so there's a limit to what I can do right now.
Yeah.
But I love it all, and we're using some of these builds for stories and that kind of thing. So I'm having a great time.
Cool. Well, if you like this, you can find more from Gavin Tube on the YouTubes, Ultimate Reloader, and then website as well, right?
Absolutely. PrecisionRifleConcepts.com.
Nice. All right. That's it for us, guys. Welcome. Thanks for following us down the rabbit hole for a little while. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.